Hi, welcome to a quick whistle-stop introduction of the Unite server, or soon-to-be renamed Dreadnought development, deployment and integration platform. In this demonstration, what we're going to do is we're going to do the obligatory Hello World application, and then after we've done that, we're going to quickly change that to something that's useful, and it's going to be a microservice which both decrypts and encrypts data using a PGP. This is going to have a HTTP connection endpoint. When we've done that, we are going to create a Windows service which polls a directory for files, takes those files and uses the service we've created to decrypt those information, that file, into non-PGP information. And hopefully in doing this, we'll give it a brief, broad overview of some of the things of the Unite server platform, how it developed, how you can host things in the cloud, and how you've got a centralized control hub. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create our Hello Cloud, or Hello World application. So this is going to be a really simple one. We have a HTTP listener which listens on a particular port. In this case it's 9012, and we're just going to return the contents of that message. So go down here, we see the message text. All I'm going to do is just return it as a response. So I'm just going to go So I'm just going to go and call something. So we've got that, so let's try a different one. And there you can see, it's just echoing back what is passed into it. So, if we want to make this a more useful service, then we're going to have to add decryption. So, or encryption, I should say in this case. So we're going to convert our body into an encrypted stream and just return that. So just show you that quickly. So what you should see now is you should see this information being returned as a PGP message. So quickly now add routing and create a RESTful or web API service. So there's a few things we need to do. We need to only do this action when it's encrypt. So we need a post and it's encrypt path. I'm just going to rename this to encrypt. Going to add return values. So when there's an error, so we're going to add exception strategy. So I'm going to quickly go create a customizable error page, which basically returns either the exception itself or a custom value, depending on what release type we have. So that's that. Discovery. This is a point we can call which turns metadata about our service, and I'm going to add a 404 connector. As this is a choice app, if this isn't run, then this will be run by default. So I'm just going to, that's 404, and I need to add the settings to turn it into a 404. So HTTP And the status code there can be found as an input requirement of our HTTP. So if we have a look at inputs, we have the status code, which belongs to our actual listener, so we can pass data in. So one last thing is for our discovery to work, we need to return the response as a JSON, so we need to convert that response to a JSON. So we add our JSON dependency and update our response, convert the response to JSON. And here we only want to convert the response to JSON if it's a discovery call. So I can simply just trim path contains discover, and that's that. So we should now have routing and everything working. So decrypt not found, encrypt should return our PGP message, and as soon as I've got this set up to discover, should return our metadata of what's available. So that's that done. So all we need to do now is to add a decryption method. So I'm going to add a new connector. I'm going to rechange the ordering of this. I'm going to put this there, so it checks this. We're going to have an encryption. First of all, we're going to have a root. Can it run this? Simply allow a post decrypt. So we also need to have some kind of authorization check because we don't want anybody, decrypting messages. So I'm going to add a simple access key authentication authorization. So this just looks in the header for a key of JK. If it's found, then we let them use it. If not, then they can't. But as we're doing headers, we need to also add this, and that adds all the request headers to our context. So we've done authorization. Now, seeing as though we're using PGP to decrypt a message, one of the things about that is it needs a seekable stream to enable to decrypt. So as our HTTP listener is not a seekable stream, we need to change it to one. So the easiest way of doing that is to read the message and then just write it again. So I'm going to use quick code. And set the contents. And one of the beauties of the platform is that it has tons of methods to convert data to and from different streams, base 64, things like that. So I think that should be it. Should be all working. So I'm going to quickly check that all the methods run. So yep, we've got that. So I'm going to quickly call this post body testing. Take that, go to our decrypt. Now I've not added our access key here, so I'm just going to show you it not with the authentication not working. So access key JK. If we run it again, so authentication failed. One thing we haven't actually done is we haven't added our method for decryption, so let's add that to the pipe. That normally helps. I'll quickly rename that. This needs to be set to message text. Right, that should work. So now when we decrypt, we get a decrypted message. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run this application on this microservice in our managed service enterprise control hub. So in order to do this, we publish it to the hub, and this is actually hosted locally, and from here we can decide where we want to run the application, whether it's either on premise, say on the local machine or another machine, or as a cloud service in Azure. So I'm going to run it in the cloud, publish it, start it up. So now when we call this, we have a CNAME that points to our cloud app, so there you go, and you should see the count incrementing, so I can call it various times to decrypt. Finally managed to don't know what's happened there. Let's try that again. Now called decrypt, and there you go, we have our message. So that's fine. Unfortunately, we can't really be sending encrypted and decrypted messages over HTTP. We need to send them over a secure socket layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another version of our application which enables us to change the port and the binding type. So if we go back, if you have a look at our listener, here's what we want to be able to change. So our base URL. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an editable setting. So I'll go to our settings, click on base URL, that's our default, and we want to make this editable. So now when we go and publish it, we should be able to change this setting. So go base URL, so I'll go here, publish it again, go back to the hub. We see a new version is being created, and I'm going to run this on that port. Publish it first of all. Go to Postman. So when I try and decrypt it now, it'll just say I have no idea what port you're talking about, because we've changed it. If I change it to the one we want, if it's, let's create, call it encrypt. Body. There we go, over that port. Try and decrypt it. Need to add our headers. Access key. There you go, all working and ready to be used. So I'm going to leave that running. What I'm going to do now is, if I can go to the correct directory, is I'm going to create an application which pulls a directory and calls our web service and decrypts the files in that directory and places them in another directory. So here I'm just going to create a new template starter pack we have, which is takes one file to another. I'll just run this and show you what it does. It should create all our directory structures for us. There we go. So watch as a simple directory, and then after it's done some processing on it, it moves it to this directory, and there we have it. So it's not done anything to it at the moment, just moved it. So what we need to do is add our decryption call. So before we do that, we're going to take our file name and make sure that our output file is the same as our input file. And now we're going to call HTTP and do a side pull. And so we've got the decrypt. What this wants to do is it's going to, we're going to call our service and decrypt our file. So I'm going to use that one. So it's going to be a post, and we need to add our access key. So access key. The data will come down here. It'll get called on this, and the call here, what's returned, will be directly overwritten to our response, to our body, and then we'll push that body out as well. So now if we just got two calls to this, so if I copy that file across, what it should do is find one message, and it should have called service and decrypted the message, and there we go. And if we look at yep, there we have it. That's our decryption folder, decryption. What we can do finally, one last thing, is I can publish this to our enterprise control hub and have it operated from there and have it controlled from there, or so it's here, or I could just create a Windows service. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to create a Windows service package, go to our solutions folder, place that in there. Now that should fire that application up. Yes. Now I go back to my cross, and there we have it, all decrypted. Now running off a Windows service, calling a managed service in the cloud, and all done in around 15 minutes. Okay, hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.